Quiet on set.
Rolling. Action. Hello.
Hello.
So I'm Sebastian.
I'm Caitlin.
And today's a really exciting day for all of us because we're finally making this thing happen that we promised a couple episodes ago.
Yes.
What's going on today, Caitlin?
We have managed to interview Cordelia O'Neill, who wrote and helped produce this play that we saw in London, which is called Anything is Possible If You Think About It Hard Enough.
Yeah, so Cordelia had agreed to meet with us a couple months back, and it's finally happening today.
Yeah,
So
I'm
we're
so
really
excited to
excited,
share
yeah.
it with you guys. It was such a great interview and such a great play. I wish all of you could have been there with us when we watched it because it was absolutely amazing.
But hey, if you listen to the episode all the way through, you might be able to just see it later on in life. Who knows? You'll figure out why.
Yeah.
So we'll start this episode by just talking a little bit about the play itself and how it just came to be and how we liked it. So the play itself was about this couple of strangers that just happened to meet on the train and on a cafe, and then just started seeing each other over and over the days, and started having a relationship, right? And so this relationship obviously became bigger and bigger, and I believe they got married and stuff like that. And eventually, she gets pregnant. And so with this is where the actual meat of the story starts. So if you want to go ahead and speak about what happens next.
Yeah, so up until the more climax of the story happens, it's like a really sweet love story between these two people. It's really adorable. And then she becomes pregnant and we get excited with her. We dream with her. We get excited about the baby. And then we find out that she has a stillbirth. So yeah, this comes as really a big shock to the audience because we're
sure.
really not led to believe that this is going to happen. So when it does, you're in this state of like absolute disbelief that just happened, and you're now as the audience sort of hoping and praying that they're going to end up like happy again, that they're going to stay with each other. But you see both the good and the bad. You see how they're falling apart. You see how they're trying to cope with it the best way that they can and how sometimes it doesn't really work. And so even though at the end they don't end up having another child, you still at the end feel the hope that they have, that they can still have the life that they want with each other. And even if a child is not in the cards now, that they're still going to stay together, that love for each other is still there. And I felt like that was still an amazing ending, really, even if they didn't have the child that they always wanted at the end.
Oh, definitely. I feel like the story just in general is just great and really moving overall. And there's these moments in the story in which the characters are looking at you and you think that they're talking to you, but they're actually talking to their unborn baby. And it's just so hard because at the beginning they're still doing it before anything with the baby happens. They're still like talking while looking at you, so at this point you don't know what's happening.
You believe it's just like a simple narration.
Yeah. But then they keep on doing it until they finally mention their name, his name, Teddy. And then you realize that all throughout the story they've been talking to their unborn baby, and it just connects with you how impactful this moment is.
Yeah, definitely. It was so moving, and it really helped that it was actually a very small theater. So you were like right up there with the actors. It wasn't like you were really separated from the story or from the set pieces. So it was super moving, absolutely amazing. I was getting teary-eyed. I've never even had children, and I felt like so connected to the story. I'm sure anybody that has had children or has also gone through a stillbirth, that they would also appreciate and absolutely love this story because it was really amazing.
Definitely. Enough with no further ado, what qualification do you give this story?
5 out of 5.
Definitely 5
Absolutely.
out of 5.
Absolutely would see it again.
Yeah, so
I wish
5
I
out of
could.
5 clapping boards for Anything is Possible you think about enough. I mean,
Anything is possible if you
think about it hard enough. About enough. Yeah, no, great story. And now we're be introducing Cordelia O'Neill.
Yes.
She got nominated for Anything is Possible just this past year for Best Off-Broadway. Now, that correct myself, Best of West End Play. And yeah, with you guys, Cordelia O'Neill.
Woo!
Hi, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm really good. I'm really good, thank you. How are you guys?
Doing really good, I
Yeah.
think, yeah. Once again, thank you so much for joining us today.
That's okay.
It's really exciting to have you here with us.
No, I'm really excited to do this. I've never done a podcast before. My name's Cordelia O'Neill, and I'm a playwright, and I live in London.
Awesome. So we saw one of Cordelia's plays while we were in London last semester, and it was called Anything is Possible If You Think About It Hard Enough. And we're really interested because Cordelia actually came over to our school, FSU in London, and gave a little panel for us discussing the play and what it is to be a player in London in general. So Cordelia, what brought you to the theater industry?
So my uncle was an actor and a director, and I grew up with him and with discussions of the theatre and all my life, and then he sadly died when he was 27, and then from his death a group of his friends set up a trust called the JMK Trust, which is this amazing trust, and it's been running for 20 years, and every year they go through a process, and there's a winner, a young director who wins the award and then puts on a play at a London theatre. So after he died, I then grew up seeing all those plays, meeting all the winners, and being around all the fundraising around the trust. And so it just sort of was a given that I would just sort of sidestep into theatre. I didn't really know what else to do. And I very much, when I got to sort of the ages of 15, 16, which I would not recommend, decided to just work at theatre and not do anything else at school. So so when I left school, the only option was drama school, and I got in, and then I've been sort of plowing away ever since.
Well, it seems like it worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I graduated from drama school in 2011. So it's a long journey, and every year you think you're getting a little bit further, and then every year you think I'm just furthering away. So it's very hard to realize what it is that you've achieved over such a long process. And because you guys will know this, but working in a theatre, it's not your only job. You have loads of other jobs that provide money and keep you going and keep your sanity going. So sometimes it's like, great, I've done really well, and sometimes you can feel like you haven't achieved enough. And so it's a practice to recognize what it is that you've done and where and how far you've come, even if it has taken you from like 2011 to 2022 to start doing podcasts. But yeah, no, it's been a really long journey, but I've learned loads, and I love the theatre. It's a really amazing world and industry to be a part of.
For sure, I imagine it's really difficult. I mean, we will know this because we're filmmaking students right now, and just like trying to have a stable economic situation going on, it's probably really difficult as a playwright as well. I understand you started as an actress.
Yeah, I went to the Oxford School of Drama and trained there for 3 years, and then moved to London and probably acted in London for about 5 or 6 years, and it's really hard. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she was like, yeah, I apply for auditions all the time. We have something in London called Spotlight, and so you apply for auditions on Spotlight, and I just remember just sat at temp jobs just applying to Spotlight over and over and over and over and over again. And my friend, she was describing doing that, and I just thought, thank God I don't have to do that. Thank God I decided not to do that again, because it really destroyed me. It's as an actor, you have very little control. You've got to be incredibly vulnerable to be able to be open to endless different scripts and projects and shows. And that vulnerability is quite hard to protect when you're putting yourself out there every week and getting rejections. So there's few people that can sort of master that and handle that, and I really take my hat off to them, because I really found that playwriting, I have more control over what I did and who I worked with and the stories that I told, and I found that more fulfilling. But you know, I watched the actors Hugh and Gemma, who did Anything Is Possible in rehearsal, and I was just like blown away by what actors do. You just got to kind of like you know, just be so vulnerable and so open, and just brush off, you know, direction and brush off ideas that don't work, and then just get stuck in. And it's an incredible skill, and it's an incredible quality for a human to have. We're, as humans, you know, we do the same thing every single day. We do safe things every single day, and actors don't do that. Actors go to places that people don't go to places to on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I can't really remember what the question was, but I just think actors are just phenomenal. And I found that that like practice over and over and over again just took it out of me in a way that wasn't really healthy or like conducive of any good work. And it's all about the work, right? In theatre, it's all about the stories and what you're doing and what changes you're trying to make.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think the casting for Anything Is Possible was spot on. I really, really liked it. Well, how was the process for you to go from acting to writing and then casting more actors?
It was like pretty seamless, actually. My first play, The Stolen Inches, went on in Edinburgh, and it had like 2 versions, and it was quite specific casting, and so that was quite hard. I met a lot of actors then, but we didn't have any money, so we couldn't like hire an audition room or anything. I just met loads of actors in pubs and like talked to them about the script and didn't really see any of them act. But like through that process, you know, just talking to an actor and seeing how they talk about a script, you can kind of glean whether or not they're up for it, or whether they've got the talent to do it. So yeah, and then I did a play, No Place for a Woman, which was 2 women, and I found that really hard to cast. You know, so many people are actors, and it's you know, so few have like what Gemma and Hugh had, I think, or what Emma and Ruth had in my play. Do you watch Bridgerton? Have you watched Bridgerton?
Really?
No. So Ruth, who plays Lady Bridgerton, was in my play No Place for a Woman, and she's just like a phenomenal, like old school, hardworking, soul-searching actor. And you know, you find them rarely, especially in these days. Like I just saw on the internet, they're doing Chicago around England at the moment, and this woman called Gemma Collins has just been cast in it. And you won't know who Gemma Collins is, but she's a reality show. So it's like doing you know, someone from Love Is Blind or from Housewives of the Valley doing Chicago. And you just think, oh my God, there's so many good actors out there. What's happening? So finding actors these days, you've got to really like hunt. And also Hugh was a really old friend of mine, and I've known him for years and years and years. And so it was really nice to go, let's do this together. And I really believe in giving actors opportunities. Lots of theatres will want you to go and put in a name to sell tickets, and I can't, unless they're perfect for the role, I just can't like sacrifice the craft for that. And if the cast is really good, like it was with Gemma and Hugh, then you just don't need a name because it sells anyway. So I feel like every time I do a play and I cast for it, I have to fight that like mentality that we have now in theatre. which is sort of, let's just sell the show rather than tell the show in the best way possible. But yeah, no, Hugh and Gemma are phenomenal. They are phenomenal actors.
Yeah,
I'm
for
very
sure.
lucky.
And I think it's really interesting the way you actually weigh about the play that you created, and how like the actors interact with the audience, or at least it seems like they're interacting with the audience, and then you slowly realize where it actually is going, that they're not really talking to you, they're not really looking at you. And they go around you from the back. I don't know, I think it's really interesting. How do you go about actually writing those ideas that you have?
So I can't take credit for the actors running around the back. That's all our designer, Camilla. So she read the play and came in with a concept, and she was like, everything happens in one room, so we have to make the theatre, the studio, a room. And if we make a runway around the audience, then it's like they're coming into the room rather than sitting in a theatre. So that was hers. But you know, in any play, the key to the play being successful is who are the actors talking to, and why are they talking to that person or that animal, or, you know, that house or whatever. So it was really easy with Anything's Possible because they were talking to Teddy, their son, and then from that you have a direction for your play. But you need to establish right from the beginning who your actors are talking to. They can't be talking to no one. No one's ever talking to no one. Even if you read a play and it has a madman in it or a madwoman in it, they are still talking to someone. They still have a person or a thing in mind in a direction. So so that's definitely one of the first things you would ever establish. And then from that decision, they're talking to Teddy, or they're talking to their dog. You then grow the play around that idea. And then that's obviously when designers and directors come in with their ideas about how to build on that idea and how to make that clear to the audience.
Yeah, and I think even as a 20-year-old, 21-year-old myself, living in London, no kids, not any experience with what the actors were dealing with, it was still really relatable. Because they speak about things that we also do, like going on the train when it's really busy. And this is something that I used to tell Caitlin all the time, like those transitions from line to line on the train, they're huge. And you also comment about it on the play, and I think it's really interesting that you're able to cast this feeling for people that don't really have that experience that the actors have.
Where did you live when you lived in England?
Sorry?
Where did you live when you lived in England?
Kilburn?
Right off of the Kilburn
lived
station.
In Kilburn. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I used to live in Willesden Green.
Oh yeah, right
but
there.
That's quite nice. It's just the Jubilee line, so that's quite easy, isn't it? And if you're in Kilburn, it's quite clear at the beginning, though.
Yeah, but then we had to get to Taunton Court Road, which is
a couple
and
like in the morning.
Yeah.
Horrid.
I imagine the theater in London, the industry of theater in London, and just FYI, I think the theater industry in London is better than the one in New York.
Oh, really?
That is my personal opinion. I don't know. I enjoy more the West End than Broadway.
Oh, okay.
But I still imagine the theater in London being just a really complicated industry to go into, because you not only have the big West End plays, but you also have up and coming playwrights, and you have the smaller theaters, or then you have, I don't know. I think there's a lot to see in London. And I was really trying to go see everything, but there's so much. What do you think of the industry in London?
Yeah, I think like, you know, I have my frustrations with the industry, as anyone who works in any industry has their own frustrations with it. And there's definitely things that I think need to change. But like, if I just think back over my career, you know, I did like scratch nights in pub theatres, and I didn't have to pay any money for them, and loads of people came to see them, and I could put like a reading on, and it would kind of like not cost me that much money, and I could get actors for free. And so that kind of like level is amazing for developing playwrights, and the amount of creativity and the amount of people that are willing to do that kind of work is really exciting. And my career is mainly down to the actors that have given their time and the directors that have given their time to like work on first drafts, second drafts, third drafts of plays for like zero money for us. Do you know what I mean? Like it's you collaborate a lot. That level is brilliant and buzzing. It's then when you start to want to establish yourself and you start to want to like get audiences in and be taken seriously as a playwright that you start to realize like how the industry runs, how much money you need, how little money there is, all the other aspects. It's a business. You need marketing, you need a PR plan, you need insurance, and you need someone to produce all that, and then you need to finance that whole thing. And I feel like there's so much money. I don't know if you guys feel like this, but there's so much money in the West End, like so much money, and bigger Arts Council supported theatres, that it would be wonderful if that money could trickle down into the fringe and to the developing playwrights and actors and directors, so that they have more opportunities and they don't have to scrimp and save, and then eventually perhaps make decisions that they can't financially support that lifestyle anymore. So I think there is huge buzz and huge potential in London, and the off West End is an incredibly exciting place to be. But then there's this big gap of people who just fall through the cracks and don't make it into the West End, and that's because there's just not the money there. And I feel like there could be a really lovely, relationship between the big theatres and the smaller theatres that encourage the work and the stories. But sadly, it doesn't exist. I have no idea how you'd make it exist. So huge potential sometimes gets lost, I feel, in London. And but the things that I see, and some of the shows that I've seen and people that I've met are incredible. And I really missed the industry during the pandemic, and missed like the shows, the people, and how that like inspires a creative.
Yeah, I definitely think I agree with you. There is just so much money when you go see these big plays. That I love. Like, I don't have anything against them, but I do have to agree that there should be some kind of project happening to actually try to distribute this money better.
Like they had Cabaret on with Eddie Redmayne in the West End, and tickets to see that were 250 quid.
Yeah.
Like,
tried it
so
to win the lottery. With a mate,
that's 500 quid for a night in the theatre. And at the same time, people are selling that theatre is for all, and all people need to see theatre, but they're just cutting off a whole society, essentially. The only people that could see that were like people like my parents, who are retired and have pensions. People my age, maybe, but not young artists. And that's mad. It's mad that like how much money would they have made in one night?
Yeah, I think we sadly experienced that as well. Like, we try to go to all the plays that were going around, but some of them were really expensive, and some of the ones that I enjoyed the most were like £5 per tickets.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
I went to see To Kill a Mockingbird last week, and it was like 60-70 quid for the ticket. And it's written by Aaron Sorkin, and it's an amazing story, and it's an amazing play, and like you can't not be moved by it. But I was also a bit like, why am I watching this again, and for so much money? Like, how many times have we this story? Like, why isn't there a fresh, new, young voice on stage telling this story, or telling a story like this? and why am I paying so much money for it again, to be told about it again? And there's just huge opportunity there to zhuzh up the industry, especially, you know, the world at the moment is so, you know, pandemic. We have a cost of living crisis in England at the moment. The situation in Ukraine, like humans I imagine, are craving relief or connection or stories or something to take them out of this world. And so what an opportunity to invite young artists or new stories, instead of just churning out the same old stuff, because then we don't get that good, inspiring, like theatrical, creative food, do we? We just become slightly stagnant as people when we just see the same thing over and over and over again. So.
Definitely. And I think that segues really nicely into the next part. So two things. First off, where do you think the industry in London is going to go with theater, given all of this high prices and people trying to come back from the pandemic and trying to go see plays again? And also, what is the process for someone that wants to put their work out there?
So, you know, I don't know. It's the truth, really. I really want to be really positive about it, but I do find it quite hard because, well, because of what I just said about To Kill a Mockingbird, and you know, the cost of the tickets to see cabarets, like how unhelpful, like. So I worry that because of the cuts made because of the pandemic, because of the panic that producers will be in, that we may just see like the same stuff over and over and over again, and the same people making the same things. You know, Andrew Lloyd Webber is just always in the West End, and he's never not got a new play. We have a writer over here called David Hare, who has always got a new play on, and he's, you know, a 50-year-old man, like, you know, in the same theatres. We have the same people making the same work with the same teams over and over and over and over again. And so you look at people like Hugh and Gemma, phenomenal actors, and we're not seeing them on the screens, we're not seeing them in the West End, because they're not the same people that people are used to. I think so I worry that because of everything that's happening in the world, that theatre will become smaller and smaller and smaller, and so the fight will be harder for people that want it as a career. And that's not to say that people fall through the cracks, but it's like, you know, after Anything Is Possible, everyone was like, you must be so happy, you must be so pleased, this is amazing. And I was like, this is amazing, but this isn't it. This is just the beginning of something else that I'm going to go on to do. This isn't like my completed journey. This is like, we've got so many more like things to like battle through in the theatre industry to get like stories that I tell to everyone. So sorry, not really a very positive response. And then I can't remember the second half of the question.
Well, what the process is for someone that wants to put their work out there.
So, well, you write a script, get a first draft, or even just like 20 minutes. And then this is only based on what I did in London. Then I would look up scratch nights with theatre companies, which is like short pieces of theatre in one evening. Invite people to come and see that, see if you get a positive response, and then develop the idea. I would then workshop that idea with actors and a director, get the script into a really good place, do a read through, get people to come and watch the reading. You can hire a theatre for one day and invite an audience to come and watch it. And basically it would balance itself out with ticket sales, so it wouldn't cost you that much. And within that, you would invite industry people. And and then see if that strikes up any conversations. And then at the same time, just send it out to as many theatres as possible. And if you really believe in the play and you believe in the idea, you just keep banging on doors. The most thing I find the most useful about developing a play is getting people to read it and hearing what people say. And it's really hard. I've just written a new draft and the director's like, send me the script, and I'm like, no, I'm not sending it to you because it's a mess, and it's quite like a vulnerable piece, and I'm not sending it to you because you're going to think it's awful. But you actually like what it needs is to be sent to someone, and someone needs to tell me what's zinging and what's not. So that would be my piece of advice. But I suppose at the heart of that is just to write something, if that's what you wanted to do, to write a play, is to write something that you believe in, that you fall in love with, that is urgent, and that is a story that you love. Don't ever try and write something to fit in with society or to fit in with the news. Write from the heart. Much like acting, writing is a piece of that writer. And so if you don't write from something that comes within you, you're lying to yourself. And so the words of the actors will never be truthful, and they'll never really exist in a truthful space. So before you do all of that legwork, find a story that you love and read about it and try and connect to it and think about it all the time. Lots of writing plays is just thinking and reading, and it looks like you're not doing any work, but you're doing loads of work because it's just constant.
Just so you know, after this next question, we're gonna end the meeting and then we're gonna join back up.
Okay,
because it's ending about 10 minutes.
Okay, cool.
I wanted to add something on that. That reminds me a lot of kind of what I've heard about trying to get your film noticed in the film industry. But to me, it sounds like there's so much more depth when you have like a play versus a screenplay, because I feel like a lot of times the screenplay is more like you can just sort of get one out really quickly, especially considering how short they are, maybe only like an hour and a half. And it's all about like kind of what's going to make the most money. I feel like that's what a lot of films seem like, is like they're just having all these like action sequences or all of these like grand dramatic moments that don't really have all this like depth to them. But it seems like with play and playwriting, there's so much more depth that you can take with writing the story and understanding and researching it, that I feel like I don't really see a lot in films. So it's very interesting.
I think that there are those films out there. I think I'm trying to think what won the Oscars and or what got nominated. And did you see Lost Daughter?
I did not. I do want to see it though. Yeah.
No, you should. So that is, it's a really long film. But it's long because of what you're talking about, because they kind of like get into the skin of the characters. And but I think you're so right. Lots of screenwriting books that I read, and lots of people that like zip out a screenplay for certain producers. The producers are like, so when's the fight scene? Like, when are their magical powers coming out? And so lots of it's geared to that. But Marvel, how much money does Marvel make? It makes so I think it's a really good skill to have. And I wish I was better at writing a screenplay like that. I wish I could do that, to just go like, what are my plot points? What do I need to give the audience? They want to fight, they probably want a transformation, and they probably want an argument and a love story. I wish that I could just do that really, really quickly, because then I'd make loads of cash, right? But it's definitely a skill. It's definitely a very, very good honed skill. And I do actually think that alongside those, I do run some really like incredible low-key independent films that do exactly what you just said with theatre, with scripts. They bring in that thing that we love in theatre. I guess it's the intimacy that you don't really get from Captain America or Spider-Man.
Something that I've noticed in your work, is that you tend to write about what people deal with in their life. And do you feel like you tend to write about what people suffer from, or what they have to like go through in hardships in their life?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I'm really fascinated with I've had a really easy, lovely life. Like I have a gorgeous husband, I've got a gorgeous daughter, I had a really amazing childhood. And I guess I'm fascinated with how people who suffer huge trauma exist with that trauma. How you would like ever go to the supermarket again if you lost your child. How could you do that? Because it's such a normal thing, and the most abnormal things happen to you. And I'm really interested in how those two things run alongside each other, how we carry tragedy, probably because I've never suffered it. So I think that fascinates me, because humans are so incredibly strong. I don't think we talk about that enough, especially these days, because we're just like bamboozled with just news that's awful all the time. So like us three right now, we're like living in a world with just horrific things happening all the time, and I guess we are still going to the shops or going for a pint or seeing family, but with that stuff, and it's on us somewhere. So I am fascinated with how our mind figures all that out. Yeah,
I feel like there's this expectation from society to just deal with it and move on, and your place really touches into like the fact that sometimes we cannot just move on, and it's really difficult to just perform in life after something traumatic happens.
And then when you like do feel ready to move on ever so slightly, how that happens and what you need to do to get to that place, and what you need to do to get to that place could be incredibly ugly and horrid and scare other humans, but why is that a bad thing if it's healing? Like everything scabs over, right? You cut, it gets a scab, it gets horrid, it gets disgusting, and then it heals. But we don't really like do that to our minds. We don't do that to ourselves.
Yeah, sometimes we just don't let it heal fully, and
we
keep on nudging on this crap.
Yeah, exactly.
So going on to the next part of the interview, where do you hope to see your career go from now on?
I hope I'd love to write TV and film, and I'd like to just keep regularly writing for theatre, and work with as many people as possible, and try and write stories that like help us kind of get to know ourselves a bit better. I'd love to just be able to do it non-stop for a living and not have to. I teach on the other when I'm not writing, so I'd love to be able to not teach and just write and pay my mortgage.
Well, I love that. Obviously, we love film. It would love making film. So I think it's really interesting that you're going on that route now. Because it's just when I was going to the plays, every single play, I always just think of like, how could I make this into a film? And I think it's that mindset that we have now, that it's like, I want to see this over and over and over because it's so interesting.
Yeah. That's what's great about film, hey, is that you, my husband never likes watching anything twice. So if he's seen a film, he'll not watch it again. He'll just like, no, I've watched it. But what's so magical about film is that you just watch it over and over and over again. And every time you watch it, you see something. Like I watched Mad Men for the second time, and it was just so much better. It was so much better than when I first ever watched it, because I was like 10 years older, and the world, like how we shifted, like with Me Too and workspace protection and everything. And so then watching Mad Men again, it was like so much more powerful. And you don't get that in the theatre unless you go again and again and again, which isn't as easy. And so I just can't understand my husband's like thinking behind it. I'm like, it's a treat. It's such a treat. Yeah. But you know, it's so interesting that you say you see things in films. I find it very hard to see like things in films. I can only see it in like one place. And people are always like, you know, you need to, like, if I hand a screenplay to my agent, they're like, you need to put other locations in. And I'm like, oh yeah, you can do that. You can do that in film. You can move like around
now
the world.
Now that you mention it, yeah.
Wow. So it's like, I think it's very much like you're either bred from the screen or you're bred from the theatre, and then that kind of like crossover is quite hard to do because it's a brand new skill, I suppose.
Definitely.
But, like, the essence of it is the same, but the skill is, I think successful screenwriters they're like engineers, I think, when they like smash a script.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing screenwriting for short films, like really short films, for a while now. We had to do a playwright course last semester, and it is really difficult to transition. Like, okay, I see everything in film, but that transition of actually putting it into paper is so difficult because, okay, then I have unlimited uses of locations, unlimited uses of cuts.
Yeah.
But now I don't have that. I have to think that I'm actually making this happen live, and how can I actually make that possible?
And how do you verbalize it? Because it's got to be through speech, right? It's got to be through someone saying it. So what is that feeling that you're portraying in that specific location with that specific shot? What is that feeling verbally?
For sure.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Do you think you wanna bring anything as possible into the film industry, or do you want it to be suited?
No, I think it'd be an amazing film. I think it would be a really great, like, a great film, because what film does, it will do like a close up on someone, and you know, we can like see the inner workings of those characters' minds that you don't get on stage. So I'd love to, definitely.
Yeah, I think I agree, because when I was watching, I was like, this is an amazing play. And again, I want to see it over and over and over.
Yeah,
And again, I was thinking like how it will look as a film, and the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. Have you seen, what did I watch recently? Have you seen Like Crazy? It's a really old film from when it's got like Felicity Jones in it when she was about 18. But it's just two young kids who fall in love, and one lives in America and one lives in England, and like basically just how they have a relationship like that. But it's literally just two people, and then just like other characters that just support that story. So that's kind of what I imagine where anything is possible.
And I think it's something that is not really seen out there much. Just the interaction between these two people. Like, film always wants to bring the amazing factor, quote unquote, of like, we have 1,000 extras and we just have big crowds and stuff like that. But I feel like that one-on-one relationship will be really interesting, and it's not something that we see a lot. Also, so what is the function of Small Things Theatre? I see you co-founding this.
So we set it up because we just wanted to put on work, and we were like, it's the only way we can put on work if we have a production company that supports the work. So we set it up when I first did Stolen Inches in Edinburgh. But then from that, we then did a night of small things, which is a scratch night that I was talking to you about, where we'd get like comedians and singers and poets and writers to sort of do an evening of work. And from that we'd earn money, and then that money would go in the bank, and then it would support developments of new plays that we picked up. So it's been like every time I do a play, I'm like, oh, I'm never going to do it again. So stressful. This is it. Everyone will hate it. I'm a fraud. Like, I'm done. I'm going to go into advertising or something. Peace out. And then it's like really successful. And so I'm like, oh, shit. Okay. And I love it. And like the rehearsal room's buzzing and it's like, you know, brilliant. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's go again. So Small Things Theatre is like kept that going and keeps us connected to the industry. But it's like it's a full-time job. So it's not like we have like really successful theatre companies like Headlong and Out of Joint in England. I don't know if you saw them when you were over, but they're like, and Payne's Plough, they're like businesses and they're like fully funded and they're doing amazing stuff. I wouldn't say that we are there. We are literally just there to facilitate keeping our toes in the industry.
Hey, Pixar started in a garage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. But that's where you would start. That's where you would start to, if you wanted your work to get on, I think, to just produce it yourself and set up your own company.
And sorry, when did you co-found this company?
So that was when we went to Edinburgh, which would have been 2015.
Wow. That's about the time that I moved to the US, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I moved at the end of 2016, yeah.
Okay.
How has COVID affected you personally as a playwright and also just the company in general?
Well, COVID, you stopped theatre for like 2 years, and I had a baby, and while COVID was happening, so that was like another lockdown, having a baby. But I think it's the great thing about life is experiencing it, and the great thing about writing and acting and directing or anything creative is that you are using life to create your work. So when life stops and when you don't communicate with people and you don't see anything and you're stuck, I felt personally that like inspiration and creativity just sort of stagnated, because I used to get on the tube 7 days a week. And that's just like full of stories. The tube, you get on at Kilburn, how many different people do you see? And I used to go to like various different coffee shops. I used to go to the theatre 3 times a week. I used to see people, and that's all completely shifted. So you are less in life, I guess. So it's hard. I found it harder to draw inspiration and to feel connected to people, and so therefore harder to get stories out. Like anything is possible kind of just whizzed out of me, but the current play I'm writing is like getting blood from a stone at the moment, and I think it's because of like life having changed so fundamentally. Everything's online, and we don't go out as much, but part of that's having a 18-month-old baby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But so that, I definitely feel like I lost a year of inspiration, let's say, and so it's trying to delve back into that.
Yeah, I feel like I can definitely relate to that, because going into film school and just being really excited about making film and making things with your hands, and then not making a film for 2 years.
Yeah,
it's just like that's
really
big
tough.
stop.
Yeah, you guys had it, so did you do lots of stuff on Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how uninspiring is Zoom? like it's so hard to, it's great for stuff like this, but to like, I've got friends who do whole writers' rooms on Zooms, and like they're like writing TV shows on a Zoom, and it's like, you need to like be able to vibe off like the other people and stuff. I don't know how you guys did it. I think I'm about to work with a bunch of actors who are in their 3rd year at drama school, and so they're like 2 years of drama school with just COVID, and I just don't know how they did like movement classes on Zoom.
It's just not the same.
It's just, no, it's not. It's ridiculous. So yeah, but what would be really interesting is, as you guys like emerge from like film school, how your experience will like be different to everyone else's experience, and how that will show through the work that you produce and the work that you create. So and I would say that's something really exciting and quite nice to hold on to. So it shouldn't be something that burdens you. It should be something that like goes, okay, this is our story, so this is we're going to be the only like years that make stories like this because of how you were fed and taught, which is really exciting. Like the next load of artists and work that comes out, it's going to be exciting to see how it's different. Definitely,
because as uninspiring as it is, it also gave you the task to actually make something happen when you have nothing with you to actually make those things happen, like how to make a film with your phone or how to make a film with no lighting. And those are the kind of things that challenge you a little bit more, and perhaps that's what's going to help us move on from here.
Definitely.
Now, with your play Anything is Possible, how do you go about writing that? Like, what was the process of you having this idea and then just actually putting it into paper?
Well, I guess it goes back to what I was talking about earlier, is you have to find out who you're talking to, and then you have to find out why you're talking to them, and then you have to find out what your characters want. And then when you know all that information, that's when characters, dialogue start to emerge. So I've only ever written a play like just straight through, just with dialogue. I've never written like the plan first, but I'm currently writing a play with 5 characters, and so I've had to structure it and, you know, use like diagrams and use like revision cards to see it, because you've got 5 different worlds and 5 different brains, and everything affects it. But the first thing you have to figure out is, what are you trying to say, and why are you trying to say it? And when you're really in touch with that, that's when a play will emerge. And for me, that emerges through dialogue. But for other playwrights or screenwriters, it emerges in different ways. Maybe just like one long monologue, or maybe like a lovely treatment, or maybe like a loads and loads of pictures. But with Anything is Possible, it was just duologues with just Rupert and Alex, and I just wrote loads and loads and loads of duologues, not necessarily to do with stillbirth, but just to do with them, and just found out who they were through those duologues. And then I started to incorporate stillbirth not into necessarily like their literal words, but into how that would affect them as characters, and so therefore what will they be saying around that tragedy.
What were some of the challenges that you encountered either when writing it or when actually making it happen into theater?
Well, like, you know, the biggest difficulty was COVID. And we were in first week of rehearsals, and then the world went into lockdown, and then we had to wait like nearly 2 years to put it on again. And then when we put it on again, we had 2 weeks rehearsal, and we just smashed it. And like, it was a pretty smooth journey from like rehearsal to putting the show on in previews. I think a major challenge that I had personally was going back to a play about the death of a baby when I had a baby, and trying to connect with that idea, knowing what it is that Alex had lost. I don't think I could have written that play now that I've got a baby daughter. I think I had to have not had a baby to like go there. So definitely going back to it after having Delilah, and looking at Alex as a character, and looking at her monologues and looking at what she was saying, I found very hard to connect to. But like, I guess the biggest problem was just trying to get it on a theatre and trying to pitch the idea to theatres, like to say, I've got a play about stillbirth, do you want it? And most of them said no. because who wants to see that? But then trying to convince them that it wasn't really about stillbirth. What it was about was this couple who are in love, and it was about hope. But like trying to like do that, get in that room for that long, it's really hard. So we trolled around loads of theaters trying to get it on.
Yeah, sometimes it's really difficult to bring ideas forward when there are topics that people just don't want to talk about, or they do want to talk about, but they find it so hard to actually go into that place and feel vulnerable while talking about it. And it makes you vulnerable watching this play as well.
Yeah,
and
but
no
it's
matter the
mad,
situation
like,
you're on.
we love it. Like, we love it. We watch, like, don't we? We're like, Will Smith just punched someone, and we're addicted to that news. And it's like, it's awful what he did, and we're all just like, oh my god, I want to watch it again. I want to talk about it. So we're fascinated with pain, and we're fascinated with people being in pain and then showing that pain. So I never understand when theatres go, no, it's too much, because I'm like, but all the best stories and all the best plays and all the best films are too much, really.
Yeah.
To Kill a Mockingbird, it's like an old story, but it's fundamentally about racism, and we can't not put that show on because it's about racism, because it, and we have to watch it. So I never understood the whole stillbirth is too much. I was like, it's perfect, it's vital, it's why we do what we do.
I think that's the beauty of this play, because it brings you to a place of vulnerability that you usually don't go to, and it actually feels really great being in that space and just like see within yourself how you're feeling, and just allowing yourself to experience these things that you wouldn't normally feel.
Yeah.
One thing that I see when looking at your play is that at the beginning you have a couple of stories from people, as well as some information from like companies that help stillbirth and stuff like that. What was your experience collecting these stories?
Yeah, it was really, I felt like incredibly privileged. These people like allowed us into their home, and we made a film, and we filmed and interviewed couples who'd lost babies and talked about their children, and it was like, I mean, a lot of the time I was just thinking, you don't know me. Like, you haven't got a clue who I am. You're just telling me these incredible and moving stories. But then the key to it was that all these parents who'd lost their baby at birth wanted to tell the story, and needed to tell the story. And just like I tell my story of being in labor with Delilah, they wanted to tell their story of their baby, and just because their baby had died didn't mean they shouldn't tell the story anymore. So I really wanted to honor that, which is then why we decided to publish them in the play rather than just have these interviews. It was like, we need to carry these stories forward. But yeah, no, incredibly privileged, because as I said, I didn't know these people. We were strangers, and to hear what they had to say about their babies was incredibly powerful and moving.
I think that's beautiful work what you did, and I congratulate you for actually like going through this process and making this happen, because again, it's something really difficult, not only being a playwright but also being a playwright in this specific topic, and just hard topics that bring people to tears sometimes. So thank you so much for that as well.
No, thank you for saying that.
Is there anything else that you would like our listeners to know about your work or anything?
No, I'm currently just writing something at the moment, and I have no other like news or anything to sell. I suppose the listeners are all in the theatre, I guess. So I would encourage them to keep working, and to stay in the industry as long as possible, and to write when they want to write, and do what they have to do, I guess. A very uninspiring note to end on, I suppose. But yeah, I have nothing else to add that is going on in my life.
Awesome. So once you're a little bit more into film, I would love to have you back and just
yeah,
chat a little
okay.
bit about filmmaking.
Great, definitely. I probably
Yeah,
learn a lot from you too, I'm sure.
Well, let's make that happen then.
Definitely.
Okay.
Where can people follow you?
I'm on, I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Twitter, it's probably best, which is just Cordelia O'Neill on Twitter.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
No, thank you very much for having me. It's so nice to see you both.
Thank you. It's really nice to see you too. Hope to chat again soon.
Yeah, take care.
Have a good rest of your
Bye-bye.
day.
All right, y'all. And that was Cordelia. It was great having her today in the podcast with us. And it was great having you guys listening to us today. And I hope to see you next week.
Yes, stay tuned for all new episodes. We're working on some really great segments that we hope you guys will love. Make sure to follow us on Instagram. My Instagram is KateJohnston622.
And you can follow me as SebaSalep. That's Sebas Alep on Instagram. And you can follow the podcast at @cut the podcast altogether. @cut the podcast. Thank you so much for being with us today, and we'll see you next week.
See ya. Bye.
And cut!